So we're on to the Writech Intermediate Football Championship, and for many years here in Westmeath it's been a toss-up between the clubs to break the ceiling into the senior ranks. But can Milltown Pass make it third time lucky?
They were very unlucky the last 2 years, especially 2 years ago. I just think that the way this championship's been ran this year, that there's you could pick out 6 or 7 teams that should win the championship this year.
Pick out all 12.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's just going to be ran. It's going to be so competitive. Milltown Pass are predominantly football. There are a couple of lads that play hurling. They were very unlucky the last 2 years, but listen, you don't get what you deserve in this game too often. So do I see them winning? They're in with as good a chance as anyone else, but I think there's 7 or 8 other clubs that are in with the same chances there.
Do you like the way the structure is though?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's exciting.
The best way that we could have hoped for once this pandemic struck, and I would personally like to see it, if it's successful this year, I personally would see it, keep it at that. Less games, more competitive. It suits us as a dual club. Like we have, in 2013 we played the senior hurling final and the intermediate football final, and we won both of them 1 week after the next, and we had 13 lads starting on both teams.
Oh jeez.
So it's very hard
tough
for us, the way we were playing 7 hurling games and you were playing 4 or 5 football matches, 5 football matches. So we were playing 12 championship matches before we even got to the knockout stage. This suits us personally as a club. It'll also suit Raharney and Killucan as well. But it's a great way to run the championship. But this intermediate is a minefield. It's seriously competitive.
We'll have a look at the groups then. So Group 1 is Milltown Pass, Multy-Farnham and St Malachy's. So Paul, we'll start with you. Milltown Pass face Multy-Farnham in game 1. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, jeez, take your pick. I think if I had a coin, I'd toss it now at the moment. Multi are a decent outfit as well, and I'm not totally convinced about Milltown Pass. We're more than unlucky in a couple of occasions the last couple of years, but they've been more than lucky on a couple of occasions as well. I mean, Collery toured in the summer in the intermediate final in the first half of the game last year. I mean, the game was over by half time, let's be honest about it. Year before, Shandona kind of blew them out a little bit as well. I was more than disappointed with Milltown Pass when they got to a final. And I think Multi will seriously put it out to them. And I think Alan is underplaying the Malachy's factor as well. I think this might suit Malachy's as well. I do agree with him on the fact that it might suit Malachy's as well. And I expect them to be in a serious shout in that group. And if I was asked, as we alluded to,
we're here to ask you.
Yeah. If I had the 20 quid as who I think would get out of the group, I think Multi and Malachy's get out of it, and I think Milltown Pass might miss out. If I'm honest, and I'm probably going to be proved wrong, and you know my Milltown Pass friends are not going to probably ever talk to me again, but look, that's just the way it is. I think Multi and Malachy's might just sneak through on this one, but I think it's an absolute toss-up.
Do you think the short championship might suit Malachy's at all?
Oh, it'll suit all the dual players, and we have a lot of dual players in Westmeath.
But we're good footballers as well, apart from hurlers. I mean, some of those hurlers are decent footballers as well.
The thing about it is we have 6 county hurlers at the minute, and we would have 7 if neither playing home. Without those 6 or 7 lads, they'd be in our top 10 footballers in the club. Like they're good footballers as well. Like there's 2 or 3 of them that could very easily be on the county football.
Angus, Liam Varney.
Yeah, Shane.
How is that now at the minute? Because they're all training with the club and there's no county, so are they?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Like we have numbers now for the football that we've never had before. But every club's the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a ladies junior team or a men's senior team.
Yeah.
Like every club in every county is having numbers that they've never seen before. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's great. It's great for our training as well. We've 33, 34 lads training football now, whereas the last number of years we may only have 21, 22 at the most.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great. It's good. It will suit us, but it's going to suit everyone else.
And so Jerry, maybe your top 2 from that group?
From Group 1?
Yeah.
Oh, very, very tough call. It really is. I hope Alan won't be annoyed with me, but I'm going to go with Milltown Pass and Multi. I feel maybe Malachy's might more of an effort in the hurling with all the dual players, but it's very, very difficult. As Alan said at the very start, honestly, you can look at it, it's a bit like the championship, the old Division 2 in England, you know, in the soccer, and Paul's Leeds look as if they're going to get out of it now. But
Money wise.
you know, it's more competitive than the Premier League. It's the same with this intermediate. It's probably more competitive than the senior. I mean, there are 6 or 7 clubs capable of winning that out. Listen, you've asked an opinion. I'm going to go nervously with Milltown Pass and Multi to get out of that. I think Declan Rowley's taken over Multi, so they have serious ambitions. You know, he managed Lomans when they got back on the rails there a few years back to win the first of their titles. So nervously going to go with Milltown Pass and Multi.
And on to Group 2, so St Mary's, Rochford Bridge, Milltown and Ballinacurgy. Is that right?
Yeah.
You can edit that, can't you? So 2 teams that will be expecting to make the finals is St Mary's, fresh from senior, and they'll play the emerging Milltown. So, but how do you see this one going down?
This is the hardest group to decide on, as far as I'm concerned. Like 3 teams, St Mary's acquitted themselves well enough in the senior last year, but just maybe a little bit out of their depth. Like it's a big step up to play an intermediate championship, to go straight into a group that they went into last year. Ballinacurgy are coming from winning the championship last year in the junior grade. They will probably strive on that. They're a decent outfit. They're good forwards. They're a great team to score goals. Then you have Milltown, who will just grind you out. To be honest, as I said to Paul earlier, I'm here to give my opinion. I could be mad wrong, but I will choose St Mary's and Ballinacurgy to come out of the group. But there's going to be that minute.
What do you reckon, Paul?
I'm going to go. I'm completely different. I think Milltown are the standout team in this group completely. I watched Rochford Bridge on a couple of occasions last year, and they played well at senior level. But this is a different animal. Like intermediate football is like even in the older style of it, it was almost knockout from the word go as well. Every game meant something to somebody, and I just don't think Rochford Bridge have enough firepower compared to Milltown to win that first game. And I think Milltown have a couple of youngsters coming through. They have a Ben McGurran there coming in, who's up to the age this year, and he's a decent footballer now. They've Ja Boyce at full forward. Dara Hines will probably be back from his injury last year. He was the cause of them, in my opinion, losing an intermediate championship last year. They were going very, very well until he got injured. Decent player. They have a couple of young gunnings there, top class footballers in my opinion. I had the pleasure of coaching them on a Westmeath senior team.
Is Joe Halligan not injured?
I think Joe Halligan is injured. I think that may be a major doubt for them, and he's a major. They have struggled at the centre of the field. It's their major Achilles heel, and possibly at full back they have struggled, but they may get back into it. Ballinacurgy won a junior championship last year. They were the standout team from the time the championship started, and yet at times they seriously struggled, in my opinion, to play some sort of cohesive football. They had a problem with getting lads out to training and everything like that. I don't know what it's like this year. I'm told that they're going fairly well at the moment, but if I was to put my neck on the line, I think Milltown are the standout team in the group. I think they will come through, and I think Rochford Bridge will possibly just have enough experience for Ballinacurgy. Just my own personal opinion, but again, it could be any one of the 3. It really could.
And Jerry, if you had 2 names?
Yeah, well, Alan said it all about this group. It's very hard to pick, and as Alan also said, like, because of this COVID-19, the way Westmeath GA have stumbled on great formats, you know, there's going to be no boring, meaningless games in any championship, anything we discuss. So that's going to make for, please God, everything's going to go smoothly, that we're not going to have another outbreak, but it's going to make for a riveting championship. But to pick 2 teams, I'm going to go with St Mary's and Milltown. I think Ballinacurgy got up from junior, would probably be just happy to consolidate their place in intermediate, but wouldn't be certain of that. But I'm going to go with St Mary's and Milltown. Paul's dad, Lord Mercy, played with Milltown many years back. So he'd have a soft spot for him, and he rhymed off a lot of players there. You know, young McGowan and young Gibney that have been stars in the colleges in recent years. So probably a common team, Milltown, but I go with Mary's and Milltown to go out of that group.
So we'll move on to Group 3 now. We've Tang, Maryland and Kilbeggan, with Tang last season beating the semi-finalists facing Kilbeggan in round 1. Jerry, give us your thoughts on this game.
I think the top 2 there, Tang and Maryland, will come through. I'd expect Tang to win that first match, and I would expect Tang and Maryland to get out of that group.
There you have it. And but Tang versus Maryland, the potential in game 2. This is potential to be a thriller.
Yeah, it's like they're joined together at underage. This is going to be helter skelter. Be actually only for the. You're not allowed to go to matches by the looks of things. This would be a great game to go to. I would expect the Maryland 2 county players to drag them through this match.
And
I think Kieran Martin and Callum McCormack could drag Maryland past Tang. Tang are very good outfit, well drilled, always have been. I just think that it's not going to come down. This is not going to come down to who the best football team is or who the best players are. It's going to come down to who grabs the bull by the horns and pulls them through the match. And I don't think Tang have anyone to handle Kieran Martin especially and Callum Cormack. So I would expect Maryland and Tang to come out of the group. Kilbeggan are a very good young side. They were very unlucky last year in 2 or 3 games not to get results. I just think that maybe they got thrown into a very tough group here with Tang and Maryland. And I expect Tang and Maryland to come through and probably Maryland to top it.
brilliant. And Paul, who do you reckon will progress?
Yeah, unfortunately I'm going to agree again. It'll depend on the Maryland management, I suppose, how they get on against Tang. But they have a dodgy old manager in fairness.
Very dodgy.
Very dodgy.
I think he's great.
But
Tom Brown?
yeah, I think Maryland are a little bit too dependent on the 2 guys. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. They had a couple of good underage lads there at 16 and minor for the last couple of years, so I hope they're bringing those through. I think Tang are a serious outfit. I honestly do. I really think they're a serious outfit. I thought they were a little bit too young and naive last year. Aidan Burke was slightly injured coming into the semi-final, and I think that played against them to a bit. They have one of the best midfielders I've seen in a while, and I've lauded him on numerous occasions. John Humley, I think he's a super player. Again, it's the attitude each team has going into that second game. I don't expect Kilbeggan to be in the running for it. Alan says they're a good side. The 2 fellas are back. Alan has said us that the 2 fellas are back. They're seriously talented young lads, but I think Tang and Maryland will just have enough experience and will be too strong for them. And I think Tang will possibly top the group. I think they'll beat Maryland.
So we'll move on to Group 4, Moat, Ballymore and Bunbrusna, with the hotly tipped Moat facing Ballymore in Group 1. Jerry, who do you fancy here?
I fancy Moat. Bit of a local derby that they're Moat All Whites. You know, back in the 70s, an exceptionally strong team, went down to junior ranks, now back at intermediate. I would see a situation where Moat might be challenging to get back to the senior ranks in the next few years. Now, those days they had the kind of conveyor belt of the Carmelite players, which they don't have anymore, but Moat certainly never should have been down to junior ranks, and are a comfortable intermediate team now, and I would expect them to win that first game against Ballymore.
So what do you think, Bunbrusna, will they fear anyone in this group?
Absolutely not. They're the most experienced team in intermediate, I'd say. They have a lot of, maybe 7 or 8 lads in their 30s, but all really good players, and they added a bit of steel last year when they got Garvin Dolan, Frankie's brother, to transfer over to them. He's a really good player. I think Ballymore can't be ruled out of it either if they got the show on the road, but the unfortunate thing for them, they have a lot of dual players with Father Dolphins as well. I think I will slightly side towards Moat and Bunbrusna to come out of the group, but it's going to be very close.
And then what do you reckon, Paul? Who will come out?
I think Moat are probably, it's the one group where I think one team actually stands out, and I think Moat actually stand out in that one. But they do blow hot and cold, particularly last year, and I just thought, I watched them in a couple of games, I thought they were world beaters. I watched them in another couple of games, I thought they could have got relegated. They just blow hot and cold, but I still think they have enough in that. I'm going to go slightly against the grain here. I think Ballymore have a little kick in them yet. They have a few younger lads coming through there. They have a young Sam Maxwell there who's a really decent player, decent hurler as well. The dual factor might affect them, but they're a very proud club, and they will not want to lose a game. Really won't want to lose a game. They've John Gilligan playing as well there. He's a decent footballer as well as a decent hurler. And I think Moat and Ballymore, I know one of them is going to lose the first game, or whether it's a draw. That might run against them, but I do think Ballymore and Moat might come out of that. I think Bunbrusna are aging. I think it showed a little bit last year. They're dogged, but I think teams have copped on to them. Pace is everything. Bunbrusna had a couple of good players. Garvin Dolan more than held his own for them last year. They have Niall Spain there, came from Offaly as well. Another decent player.
Turneys and the Newmans, they're good outfit.
They have. It's age that might catch up. That's the only thing I would say, and I think Moat and Ballymore come out of group.
So overall then it seems the intermediate is a very open race.
Oh Jesus.
If you had to pick 2, Jerry?
Oh Lord, why go to me first?
Yeah.
Well, I'm fancying Tang. I'm fancying Tang. So you want a finalist against Tang? Good God! Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to say Tang and Milltown Pass in the final, and Tang to win.
There you have it. What a
Would you believe I actually have the same pairing, but I also have ourselves, if we come out of the group, we'll be hard bet.
yeah.
But we get hard to come out of the group, but if we come out of the group, we'll be hard bet. But I think the other two teams would be, that I would side with, would be Tang and Milton Pass.
Right, Bob.
I don't think Tang and Milton Pass can meet in the final, lads. I think they're the one half of the draw. I could be wrong on that. I think
Depends who's first
I
and
think group
second,
one
isn't
and
it?
group one and
Fairness, you
group
haven't
three.
been wrong before.
Yeah.
I haven't been wrong before, yeah. I'm not going to get it. I'm going to go against the grain here a little bit. I don't think Milltown Pass will come out. I think Malachy's will have a serious chance of that. My big fancy for the championship are Milltown. I know it's hard ruling ahead a little bit as well, but I do reckon if they get it right, they're a really decent outfit. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think Tang needed that last year. They're a very, very young side. I know a lot of them. Shane Coughlin, really, really decent forward. Aidan Burke, if he's on fire, is as good as many players in the county. I think Milltown, Tang, maybe. I think Malachy's might have a say in it as well. I would go with those three if I was to put a bet on it. That they're the three that I would pick, and I think Tang might come out of it this year. I just have a feeling the year
So
last
Tang
year
is the
they
team
did
to
it.
watch.
I think Tang are the team to win it.